This is your election headquarters. A total of 371 parliamentary hopefuls, only 165 constituencies up for grabs. And that's the battle set to unfold tomorrow when hundreds of delegates cast their ballot in the NPP parliamentary primaries. There are 20 hotspots across the 16 regions of the country that you ought to look out for. There are 51 female candidates in the contention, which is pretty interesting for somebody like me. But how many will make it? There are also 320 male aspirants. We have all the analysis and more right here on the polls on the eve of that crucial governing party primaries. This afternoon, your election headquarters, we're taking you across the country as we continue to build up to tomorrow. Share with us what you're seeing on the ground, wherever you are. And the number is 0540109009. And if you're a candidate or a supporter or even an observer, I'd love to hear from you. Just send us a WhatsApp message on the number on your screen right now. Let's start off with this message of how prepared the party is for tomorrow. I have here, by the way, Winston Amwa, who is here, who will be helping us with some analysis and sharing with us our plan for tomorrow. Winston, it's good to have you.
Great to be here.
But right now, I want us to hear from Director of Elections, Evans Nimako, who has been speaking to my colleague, Roland Walker, about how prepared they are for tomorrow.
The party's arrangement is that because of the strict observance of COVID-19 protocols, instead of congregating at the constituency center, delegates will now congregate at the electoral area as defined by the Electoral Commission, so as to reduce the number and will not let it go beyond 100. And so we are observing all the protocols. Delegates will be given face masks. We are providing for each delegate. We're also making sure that alcohol-based sanitizers are provided. We are putting an arrangement to ensure that there's Veronica bucket with soaps attached for people to clean themselves out very well as they come to the voting center. We've had discussion with the Electoral Commission. Ballot papers have been dispatched to the regional EC offices for onward dispatchment to electoral areas, which are going to serve as the voting center. In terms of security, the party general secretary wrote to the police service, all issues relating to security will be managed by the Ghana Police Service, and we hope that they'll continue to do the good honor for us and help us organize a very successful conference in these areas. We have a total of 2,407 voting centers across the 101 constituencies. So far, discussions made, we expect that aspirants will comply with the party's constitution dictates, go along very well with the rules of engagement as stated in the rules governing the conduct of the primaries, and also bear in mind that the party is the supreme. And so they and their supporters have been advised. For our delegates, the polling station executives, electoral area coordinators, constituency executives, our council of elders and patrons who have the capacity to vote as delegates, they are not too much of a problem in a situation like this, but sometimes the supporters who might go beyond our arrangement. So we are urging all party members that what we've done so far, they should crown it very well with this peaceful conduct, attitude, behavior on Saturday. Okay. This is the first time such serious political activity as elections is taking place in this era, COVID in Ghana. We are therefore expecting that we all observe strictly the protocols and also make sure that the ultimate is the victory for the New Patriotic Party. Yes, where people feel aggrieved, National Party has sent out national officers who will be responsible for each of the regions. So where there are grievances, these are individuals who step in.
Evans Nimako earlier today talking about their plans, whether or not they're ready. So we like to get on the ground, you know how we do it. So we take you around the regions this afternoon. We're starting off with the NPP's, if you like, World Bank, Bantama, where it promises to be a cliffhanger.
The Bantama constituency primaries is contested by only two aspirants, the incumbent Daniel Ochemabuaje versus the Deputy Chief of Staff at the Presidency, Francis Asensobuache. The incumbent NPP has dominated the constituency since 1996 after Ofosu Owusu Jibril of the New Democratic Congress won the seat when the NPP boycotted elections in 1992. Since then, Dr. Richard Womfred Anane won the seat in 1996 and 2000 until the Nshiasu constituency was carved out of Bantama. Then comes Cecilia Abnadapa in 2004 and 2008. In 2012, Kwabena Kokofu represented the Bantama in Parliament but lost the 2015 primaries to Daniel Ochemabuaje.
So my duo, so yadio, yani kama mafunya kufado ma ano mali. Hello. Now try here, now the number here.
Daniel Ochemabuaje is the incumbent member of parliament and is seeking to be re-elected to represent the Florida of Ghana politics in the 2020 elections.
President Akufo-Addo, who was even once told that he could not become president. By our victory, our hard work, our investment of time, human resources, and money, and mobilization of the people, we won 89%, and today he's the president. And logic, the president is asking for 4 more years because one good term deserves another, he says. So what about me who have to bring him to power? What about me? So if president is asking for 4 more years, I am humbly also asking for 4 more years. Is it just rational and logical for anybody to believe that, yes, we brought him to power, we want to go again with him? And by the way, Bantama, we don't have anything to lose. We have about 3 or 4 people in government, 1 in the legislature, parliament, 1 in the government, and a few here and there. Why should we put all the eggs in one basket?
This thing that we have a lot of people in government, so I should stay where I am, and he also stay where he is. It's dead on arrival. Because in that case, then it means that anybody that the president appoints from parliament to be minister or deputy minister means that that person must relinquish his MP position for somebody else to come and take. The additional responsibility that one has beyond the MP position, say a deputy minister, it's even a motivation to help serve your people, bring development to your constituency. So that argument, I believe, is dead on arrival.
Question is, will delegates sympathize with Ochem to go to parliament for the 2nd time, though he didn't allow his predecessor, Kokofu, to run for the 2nd term?
When he was contesting in the parliamentary primary 4 years ago, he made it clear that if he is unable to honor his promises, he should be kicked out. He came to on sitting MP who had been in parliament for just 1 year. In fact, when he decided to contest, the then MP, the MP had been in parliament for just 1 year, okay? And he did whatever he could. You know, he had a lot of money at the time. He told people that he was going to take 40 people to the US every year. He was going to buy 1 grader for each electoral area. He said a lot of things. And he has not been able to deliver on any of these promises. And the reason why we are in a contest is because you contest, you win, and you account for your stewardship. And if you fail, then somebody else must come and replace you.
Confident Asensobuache, the Deputy Chief of Staff, who is known to be the darling boy of President Akufo-Addo, hopes to win more than half of the over 547 delegates in the constituency to proceed to Parliament.
My nomination alone is enough to bring all the residents of Bantama on board. Today in Bantama, the name of Asensobuache is what everybody is calling for. And given my political experience, from the day that I will be nominated, I will know whatever it is to do to bring everybody on board. So in 2020 elections, I'm hopeful and I'm confident that we do much better than we did in the previous election.
Nana Asensu-Mensah reporting.
Let's head to the Upper West region where Rafiq Salam profiles the candidate. But before that, let me engage Winston briefly on the Bantama dynamics. Winston, we've seen what's happening in Bantama. Yeah. I mean, Ochimabwaji believes that he deserves another term, but then you have somebody like the Deputy Chief of Staff who's saying that you made someone a one-term president and you also have to make way for another person. What do we see in this particular battle? You know,
so Bantama is a very interesting constituency. The fact that in 2011, when then Member of Parliament, current Sanitation and Water Resources Minister Cecilia Abnadapa decided not to seek re-election, Henry Kokofu emerged victorious. Now, in that contest, he was challenged by Francis Asensu-Boakye.
Okay.
Then, I mean...
So this is not the first time for Francis
No, this is actually the second time. Okay. Then, Daniel Ochimabwaji claims that he actually supported his younger brother, Asensu-Boakye. Unfortunately, he lost. That's something we cannot verify, he claims. But then in 2015, Daniel Ochimabwaji then unseats Kokofu in the primaries.
Okay.
He made lots of promises. He promised at the time, he was the one who bought 10 cars for all the 10 electoral areas to be used as taxis. He won. So it made Henry Kokofu a one-term member of Parliament. He now faces competition from Francis Asensu-Boakye. If he loses, he becomes a one-term member of Parliament also. But the dynamics in Bantama is changing.
I want you to help us look at the dynamics, what the story will be if he wins against Asensu. What message does that send? Because obviously, and we may not have enough whatever evidence there needs to be to back this, but you can easily tell that for someone as a Deputy Chief of Staff, he sort of has a backing of the presidency. So what story does that tell if Mr. Ochimabwaji wins?
Well, Gifty, very tricky question.
No, I mean, we're just looking at the dynamics here,
so, a very tricky
and the things that are obvious to us.
So, you know that, yes, we don't have support, we don't have evidence now that he has the president's backing. But once you go into a contest, you'd say that if the president doesn't want him to become a member of Parliament, he probably could say, you know what, I want you to stay with me.
And it's not just the president. We've seen what the NPP has done with other constituencies where people have been allowed to go unopposed. So obviously,
yes,
this is a different case.
The thing is, if Francis Asensu-Boakye, and already questions are being raised, are being asked about the fact that if you are the presidency and the president is seeking a second term, why would you want to go to Parliament? He's answered that there's nothing like an elected position. If you're a politician, you've not been elected, I mean, as a politician, you must try and win an election. And so it's not just assisting somebody to win, but you must also contest that election and win. He wants to be that politician who's contested elections and won. If he fails, it would raise questions about the president's likability within some of his party's strongest areas.
In Bantama,
for instance. And so it's a very dicey contest. And it even becomes more dicey because we're looking at a situation where earlier, Francis Asensu-Boakye was in the lead. Now, there's been some research conducted by National Security, and they use colors. So if they put yellow by your name and green in addition to it, it means that, okay, so you are the one leading. Now, earlier,
I'm just wondering, why would National Security be involved in that sort of research?
It's a document we've chanced upon.
Right, I see.
A lot of researches happen. In every election, National Security conducts research to indicate which party is going to win. And you find out that in the 2016 elections, the government, NDC at the time, knew that it was being difficult for them. But let's get to the NPP. So, if you look at that critically, earlier, Asensu-Boakye was in the lead, slightly. Now it is yellow-yellow.
Okay.
It means nobody has a clear advantage. It could go either way.
All right.
So, Asensu-Boakye could win, Daniel Ochimabwaji could also emerge victorious.
Okay, well, just a few hours to get to know that. We'll have more analysis. Winston is still here with me.